What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Patient X Holistic Healing. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some numerology and Chinese astrology and the year of 2026, right? We're going to do some numerological breakdowns, who should move this way and who should move that way, why everyone should move a certain way, right? And we're going to get into enemy years too as well. And the year of the horse. That being said, make sure you like and subscribe. If you have anything to add to the conversation, please leave it down below in the comments. That's how we grow and enrich the community. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, first and foremost, 2026 is the year of the horse, right? It's a 1 year. 2 plus 2 equals 4 plus 6 equals 10. Take out the 0, that's a 1, right? By analyzing the horse and the energies that the horse brings, we can figure out how we all need to move, right? Everyone is going to be slightly different, but for the majority, it's going to be the same. Unless it is your year, if you are a horse year, then you're going to succeed this year, plain and simple. And if you are a rat, this is your enemy year. You're not necessarily going to fall this year, but you need to move careful, right? Everyone else could pretty much go about their life. Some people still got to move a certain way. Like I'm also talking about trines as well. The tiger and the dog. These are the trines of the year of the horse, and the energies complement each other. So we're going to first break down how we should all generally move in the year of the horse, unless you are one of the people that I mentioned, right? So the energy of the horse year it's a spontaneous and very fast moving energy. It can be slow moving at times, but usually it picks up. Like I would liken the year of the horse more towards velocity than speed necessarily, speed in a certain direction. Yes, it might be moving slow right here, but it's just speeding up to change course. And, if you've been doing work in 2025, the year of the 9, to change course, as a lot of people are, because it's a 9-year of completion, most people are moving on to something different, then you are ahead of the curve, right? But if you haven't been ahead of the curve, if you haven't been applying pressure in the year 2025, 2026 might be moving you in another direction, and quite fast at that. So make sure you're staying on top of your regiment. Horse is very regimented. Horse is very structured, very strong. Horse can be a trailblazing energy. You don't want to fall into lazy behavior in a horse year. You really don't ever want to fall into lazy behavior, but especially in a horse year, that can be detrimental to your progress or to whatever goals you may have. So I would stay away from overindulgence. I would stay away from petty disputes. Like I would stay away from a lot of things because the horse can kick you. You see, the horse can blow back on you out of nowhere. You didn't see it coming, and it happens to a lot. I would say to try and keep yourself slightly challenged. Don't overdo it. If you're a horse, this is going to come easy to you. Tigers this year might challenge you a little bit, but if you meet the challenges and rise to the expectations, you will be blessed in the following year, 2027, even this year. So I would rise to the occasion. If you're a dog, this year might challenge you as well, but it'll bless you again, like I said, as long as you don't get comfortable. Now, some things to consider on the numerology side. Next year is a 1 year. Like I said in the intro, number 1 is about, assertiveness, being self-starting, being a leader if that year is calling you to. And except if you're a 8, I'm gonna get to that later. But for the most part, 1 year is about self-serving. You want to build yourself up. And it's very beneficial in a horse year to focus on oneself, especially it's a fire horse year. Matching that spontaneous, fiery, passionate energy and running towards your goals, that can be highly beneficial to you this year. Ones are naturally pretty fiery. When we talk about Western astrology and Vedic astrology, 1 is Aries, right? Aries is the first sign. Aries is a fire sign. So 1s are naturally pretty fiery. They get the shit started, right? It's very sparky. That's how this year is going to feel to many. Right now, to some, it might feel slower, especially for Lifepath 4s and Lifepath 7s who are in the trine of 1. They will be tried this year 100%. 4s are going to have to play to their strengths and be very organized. 7s might have to form a little bit of an ego to match that, passion and desire that comes with having a self. 7s goals are usually non-physical or mental. So identifying with oneself and one's goals will be highly beneficial for 7s. 4s, you may not have overarching goal, but you generally want to do well. I would just say keep your energy organized and structured. I made a TikTok about this. I'll link it right here. But one of the main things that ones, fours, and sevens want to do this year is keep your space organized and clean. You want to run your life like a business, essentially. Like when you go to a business, you don't see shit all over the floors. It doesn't smell bad. Hopefully, these businesses get no business. When you walk into an establishment, you want everything to be organized, safe, especially safety, and overall facilitating an environment that will be beneficial for growth and reproduction, right? It's the 1 year, but we're preparing for the 2 year. 2 is about multiplication, addition. You want to grow something that once was smaller. You also want to stay balanced, but as we prepare for that energy of overall growth that's going to come in the next few years, 2 and 3 years, 3 especially as a creative year. So the creative energy will mesh with the growth energy and really spiral into a beneficial ecosystem for whatever you have going on in the next few years, right? So, ones, fours, and sevens, like I said, run your life like a business. Make sure your energy is being balancedly distributed through all of your structures. You should be on a regiment. Like I said, horse year especially, you need to be on a regiment, but ones, fours, and sevens for sure. If you don't have a schedule, if you're not journaling, this year might not be as beneficial for you as you would like it to be. 1 year is all about planting seeds in the proper channels so that they can grow and work for you later on. Right. And this is not just for ones, fours, and sevens. This is pretty much for everyone except for eights. I'm going to get into that as well. But ones, fours, and sevens will be affected by this energy the most. So back to the astrology standpoint, I want to talk about the rat year, right? The rat year is the enemy year for the horse. So if you were born in the rat year, you might have to struggle this year a little bit. My advice for you is to not make any super bold actions, but also not stay stagnant. Like don't just stop doing whatever. You have to live your life. And there are things that you could do. Maybe I'll make a whole video for you, but there are things that you can do to kind of evade or flow with this horse energy. Overall, I would not try to match the spontaneous nature of the fire horse. I would not try and buck with the fire horse. You will get kicked. As a rat, I would just stay in my place this year and work consistently towards a goal that I plan to achieve in another year. I would not plan to finalize any goals or decisions this year. This year, I would just work consistently and steadily. If you had to match one energy from the horse, it would just be the consistency and the steadiness of the horse. If you look at a horse, they're very bilaterally symmetrical and they're very strong and propped up. So I would really just build the foundation this year so that you could prop yourself up in the future. Hopefully you've been building the foundation in previous years. If so, then you'll be fine now. I know a lot of people's foundations were wiped away with the 9 year. That's unfortunate, but one is all about rebuilding, right? So if that happened to you as a rat, I would use this year to start to rebuild that foundation. But in the coming years, I would reanalyze the foundation that you built because it might have been slightly faulty, right? That goes for everyone as well. You should always be reanalyzing your foundation, making sure there's no cracks in your aura and your field, making sure that there's no cracks in whatever you have going on. That's a big thing with Lifepath 1, 4s, and 7s as well. Like you guys tend to lose energy through the little cracks and it'll just seep through and you'll be like, damn, where's all my energy going? When you have concrete systems in place, the energy can only stay in the system. Like I meant to say earlier that 1, 4s, and 7s thrive in a closed environment that they can control and manipulate. But next, let's get to the 8 year, right? If you were born in the 8 year, then this year is not going to be inherently challenging for you, but you should take into account that the number 8 is ruled by Saturn and the 1 year is ruled by the sun. Right now, if you're not familiar with mythology and astrology, the sun and Saturn have beef. I'm not gonna lie. Like as far as the myths go, Saturn used to be the sun, basically. Saturn used to rule time. Saturn still rules time, but Saturn used to have a more upfront role as far as timekeeping and projecting energy onto the earth. The earth used to have a lot more Saturn influence, but as earth matures, the sun has become more of a pivotal role in our evolution. You see a lot more sun religions popping up. Back in the day, they used to worship Saturn. They used to worship a lot of different planets, but Saturn was one of the main ones. Now every main religion in the world is based around the sun. You got Christianity, that's the sun religion. They literally worship the Son of God and read the Holy Bible, the Helios Bible. That's the sun book. And then in ancient times, you also had a lot of religions where the main god was a sun god or sun deity of some sort. That's just the history behind it. You can go study the beef on your own, but just know that the sun and Saturn do not necessarily get along. So as an 8 this year, I would prioritize steady, constant efforts, just like the rat. I wouldn't say it's your enemy year as an 8 because it's not necessarily your enemy year, but you just have to be diligent about how you move. I would prioritize consistent efforts over spontaneous gains. This year might bring you spontaneous opportunities, very fiery people that may come around you, and things might seem like they're going good, but then the rug gets pulled from you or something. I would just stay away from all of that and prioritize long-term efforts versus short-term gains. 8 is about karma as well. So if you plant the proper seeds right now, you will for surely get benefited later on. If you stay away from bullshit this year, you will for surely see the benefit of that later on. For 8s especially, I would watch your transits, but that goes for everyone. Watch your transits. You may have Saturn energy in the year of the sun. One is literally the year of the sun. I would watch your transits for Saturn influence. I know me, I don't necessarily have the most Saturn influence in my astrology, but I know in my spirit, in my soul, I have a lot of Saturn influence. Saturn more or less rules my life at this point in my life. So I know this year is going to be very trying for me. I'm also a Lifepath 7, so I'm going to have to work very hard this year. A lot of things will come to me naturally that I'm going to have to match head on and really show that I can manage those types of energies. That way, in the coming years, all of my manifestations will be backed by my hard work. The 1 year is a great year to manifest. If you have any ideas, I would really put them in play. A rat year, I would not try and come up with any new ideas. Like I said, I would really just prioritize goals that you've already had or lifelong type of goals during this year. 8, you might have an idea this year. You might plant a seed this year that you plan to grow in water. Cool. Just don't think that it's gonna pop up like a beanstalk and go to the clouds. Like, really cement yourself this year. The best thing that an 8 can do in the 1 year, or the best thing that any Saturn influenced sign or person can do in a year of the sun, is to double down. Not necessarily speed up or multiply anything that you're doing, but plant all 10 toes in the ground and keep walking. You know what I'm saying? 1 foot after the other. That's what you should be focused on right now. Consistency, especially in the horse year. Like, bro, consistency is going to be so big this year. If you can't be consistent this year, don't even plan to succeed. Like, you're not even planning for success this year. Horses are those people that will genuinely keep going through some bullshit. It could be the worst of circumstances, and they'll still show up and exceed everyone's expectations. If you're a 1, 4, or a 7, I would try and mimic the horse energy. I know me, I am year the monkey. So personally, I will be trying to match the horse's energy this year on my astrology side. I know that the horse is in a different trine than the monkey. Tiger is actually in the trine of the horse, and tigers are the enemy of the monkey. So I know I'm gonna have to watch out a few things. Definitely a few things are gonna come to me this year that are opportunistic, but I'm gonna have to just keep going with it and prioritize my main goals rather than like some cool opportunities that might pop up. I'm still gonna be opportunistic this year, but I already set out my goals. Like this whole past fourth quarter, I've been outlining my goals. I know everything that I want to do next year, so I don't have to necessarily indulge in anything extracurricular. The same could be for you. Your enemy might be the tiger or the dog, which is the trine of the horse. So things might come to you this year that are spontaneous, that are really calling your attention. I wouldn't say ignore it, but I would say analyze it properly so that you don't fall into pitfalls, because once the tiger gets you, the tiger will not let go. And once the dog bites you, the dog locks his jaw. So I would do practical steps to achieve long-term goals, or even goals for next year, 2027. If neither horse, tiger, or dog is your enemy year, you will likely have a good year this year. Just match the energy of the horse and you'll be good, unless your numerology does not warrant that. Make sure that y'all are working hard, being consistent, and y'all will be blessed. Right, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any comments or questions down below about your astrology, things that may be able to help you succeed, please leave them down below. I'm happy to answer questions. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that being said, my name is Professor X. I want to thank y'all for watching Patient X Holistic Healing, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Peace.